Hello students, welcome to our flipped lesson on pronoun and antecedent agreement. Our goal for today is to identify tricky antecedents and choose the pronouns that agree with them. Today's concepts are very similar to what we talked about with subject and verb agreement. The only difference is that we're going to be talking about how to choose the right pronoun rather than how to choose the right verb. So here are the basics of our concepts today. The rule is that pronouns must agree with their antecedent in both gender, meaning male or female, and number, meaning singular or plural. Plural antecedents are going to take plural pronouns, while singular antecedents take singular pronouns. The same is true with male and female antecedents. They will take a male and a female corresponding pronoun. Now, if the gender of a singular antecedent is unknown, we're going to use one of two phrases depending on the context of the sentence, either his or her or he or she. Now, the next list that you're going to see is a list that you should have written down already. It's our list of indefinite pronouns. If you did not write this list down, make sure you pause it and write it down, and then continue on to the next screen. Now, with indefinite pronouns as the antecedent in a sentence, just like with them being subjects in sentences, we have to decide on the number and then appropriately choose a pronoun to replace them. A tip that we should remind you of is that you want to ignore phrases when you're trying to locate subjects, and the same is going to be true when you're trying to find the indefinite pronoun that is the antecedent for a pronoun choice. All right, so in number one, it says everybody has lost his or her or their card. Now, most students are probably going to say their in speech and when they have a choice, because when you say his or her or their, the antecedent is the word everybody. But any word that ends in one, body, or thing is going to be singular, even though it doesn't look singular. So the sentence tells us that this should be a singular pronoun. And because when we say everybody, we don't know if that is male or female, we need to say his or her because those are singular. And will replace and not identify gender. Also, there's a context clue in this sentence. The word has, the verb has an S. The sentence is treating everybody as if it's singular, so try to use context clues if they're available. In the next sentence, few of the runners have stretched his or her or their legs. When I say his or her or their, who is that referencing? And it's not technically runners because that's in a prep phrase, but it is the word few. And the word few is on your list of words that's always plural. A few is more than one. And so I'm going to take that plural pronoun there. Also, there's a context clue. The verb is a plural verb, the verb have. So the sentence is telling me that it is actually plural. Now in the third sentence, nobody, not even Nobel laureates in literature, is perfect in everything he or she or they does. Now, first of all, what is the antecedent for the pronoun? It's the word nobody. Body tells me that this should be singular. I'm going to ignore all of this information because it's a phrase. I'm going to cross it off. Now, nobody is singular, which means I should say he or she because those are singular pronouns. And there are two verbs that should tell me which pronoun I should have taken. Is ends in S, does ends in S. So this is a singular. Now, we need to talk about compound antecedents. Just like compound subjects, you have this very similar rules. Antecedents that are joined by and are replaced by plural pronouns. So for example, the guide and the ranger wrapped their or his or her ponchos around them. So I've got guide and ranger are what the pronouns refer to. This one is plural because I have two antecedents. Now, I'm going to choose that plural pronoun there. The second rule is that a pronoun that refers to subjects joined by or nor should agree with the pronoun closest to it. Remember the tip I gave you before. When you see or nor, ignore everything before. So I see the word nor in the first sentence. I'm going to ignore everything before, which means I'm only going to look at Beth. This is my antecedent for my pronoun choice. Beth is singular, and so this one really should be her. Within the context of the sentence. I gave the phrase his or her because I didn't want to tell you which one it should be. So it should be her. In the next sentence, either the student or the teachers. So I see or, ignore everything before, and I'm going to pay attention only to teachers, which is plural, so I can in this one say their. Now, the next type of antecedent is the collective nouns. And remember, collective nouns are those words that look singular but refer to groups like jury, crowd, class. Now, a pronoun that refers to a collective noun should be singular if the collective noun names a group acting as a unit. So they're all either thinking the same thing or doing the same thing. While a plural pronoun should be used if the collective noun names members acting individually, which means the members of the collective noun either disagree about something or they're literally doing different things. So in the example, the class is looking forward to their field trip. So class is my antecedent, and I need to say, is this singular or plural? Well, the context of the sentence, first of all, tells me all of them are looking forward to the field trip, and there's a context clue. The verb is singular, so I'm going to choose it's, the singular pronoun. In the second sentence, the crew will carry out their assignments. Now, in this sentence, the antecedent is crew. There's really not a context clue in terms of the verb, but it says assignments, which means they have different assignments, and assignments is plural. So in this one, I'm going to choose the plural pronoun there. Now, the last situation involves subordinate clauses. So when the relative pronouns who, which, or that are the subjects of subordinate clauses, the pronoun is going to be determined by its antecedent, which is the noun preceding the relative pronoun. Now, a tip is that you refer only to the noun preceding the relative pronoun to determine its number, unless the word only appears earlier in the sentence. If you see the word only, you treat the pronoun as if it's singular. So let's take a look at this. So first of all, let's find the subordinate clause. And our subordinate clause begins with who are always trying to perform his or her their best. So that entire chunk is my subordinate clause. So when I see the pronoun who, this is the antecedent for the pronoun choice his or her there, but I don't know if who is singular or plural, so I have to say what is it referring to. So I'm going to look at the noun that precedes the relative pronoun in the subordinate clause, students. Because students is plural, I'm going to choose there. Also, think about the context of the sentence. It says she is one of those students, so she's one of a group. The multiple students are always trying to perform their best. Now, if you look at the second sentence, Kevin is the only one of the students who is always trying to perform his or her or their best. So I have the same subordinate clause, who is always trying to perform his or her or their best. And then my relative pronoun, again, is who. Now, two things are going on here. First of all, if I look in the subordinate clause itself, I can see a singular verb that is used, right, which is telling me that the sentence context identifies this as singular, which means I should choose his or her. Also, there's another clue. He is the only one of the students. So he's the only one who's always trying to perform his best. And so only limits the meaning to this being singular. All right, let's take a look at the third one. Anyone who wants his or her picture taken should stand in front of the statue. So first of all, where's my subordinate clause? Who wants his or her picture taken is my subordinate clause. I have my relative pronoun who, and what is it referencing? The antecedent is anyone. The word one is singular, and there's also a context clue. The verb is also singular, so I should say the singular pronouns, his or her.